All right, so welcome again. Welcome everyone to Birdview's weekly workshop. Our weekly workshop takes place every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern and 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we cover a different topic each week. Our weekly workshop and other events through our website under the Events tab, or you can use the direct URL displayed on the screen here. We post a list of all of our topics in advance, so you have the option to sign up for multiple sessions at once. I do encourage you to join as many sessions as possible, whether it is as a refresher or to learn tips and tricks on how to make the most of Birdview for your project management needs. So with each session, we start with a demo on the topic that we are covering, and then we allocate the last 10 minutes to go over any questions that you may have. So please feel free to send in your questions in the question and answer chat box. So our agenda for today is our new business intelligence project finances report. And as we continue to explore these business intelligence reports, today we're going to primarily focus on project finances. So in that group of reports, we have 6 key reports that are Finance 360 and Project Finances report. And these 2 reports give you an overarching project's financial health, whether it is estimate versus actual expenses, tracking payments, seeing expense details, billable versus non-billable project hours, and cost and revenue analysis. In our revenue recognition reports, we have covered all of our bases, giving you a comprehensive set of reports to choose from. So you can track your revenue by actuals, percentage of completion, as well as fixed price per period. Then we have our estimated profitability report that tracks the initial budget, or as we call it in Birdview, the planned expenses, versus the total estimate at completion for your projects. So it also tracks and provides you the percentage as well as the amount of profit expected and or realized throughout the project's life. And lastly, the 2 reports, expense burndown as well as labor burndown reports, are kind of like project's health checkup. It keeps a tab on your expenses and labors to ensure that you're not fast tracking the utilization of your budgets, and allows you to take preventative measures to mitigate the risk of your project going over budget. As a quick reminder, these new Power BI reports are only available in Birdview Enterprise accounts. These reports may be accessible to Birdview teams as well, provided that they have access to business intelligence, resources, and financials modules. And as I mentioned before, towards the end, we will take 5 to 10 minutes towards Q&A, and then we'll do a quick review of our upcoming workshops and webinar. So let's dive in. I'm going to bring up our resources demo account here, and let's go into our business intelligence. So anytime you want to access business intelligence reports, you want to go in here, and then in the drop down, we will select the finances report. So the very first report is Finance 360. So the purpose of the Finance 360 report is to give you a bird's eye view of your project's financial health. It helps you identify the interdependencies, trends, and issues at a granular level, especially when you're managing a diverse portfolio of projects simultaneously. These reports, these group of reports, also help you equip you with the information to better estimate your project budget for similar projects in the future. So as you can see, the Finance 360 reports looks a lot like your financial module, right? You have the graph up here that includes labor cost and expenses, as well as billable labor and billable expenses. So your light green indicates estimate at completion, which means what you're expecting in total billable expenses or labor or cost and expenses at the end of the project. The dark green indicates the actual, where your project is at in a given period at a specific time. You can filter this report by projects. You can select one individually. And then if you scroll down, you can see project overview. So here it gives you a direct URL to navigate to the project itself. As well, it gives you a very high level information on the type of billing it is, what is the billing rate, if let's say it's time and material. In this case, we are using resource hourly rate. What are your planned expenses, actual expenses, and scheduled payments, received payments, target budget, labor budget, and so on. If you go further down, you will see the expense details here. So this basically outlines all the project level expenses that you have realized to date, right? So you can see that they are planned as well as their actual expenses. So actual expenses are going to show up on the top here, the date of the expense, and if it's a billable expense or not. So if let's say a certain expense is not billable, let's say as an example, in this case, we've got training materials in print. It is not a billable expense. It says false, which means this $70 is not going to be reflected in the $29,000 planned here. And then on the left-hand side, or sorry, on the right-hand side, you're going to see the payments details. So what that means is whatever payments that you have scheduled to receive for this project, you're going to see that here. Okay, so as an example, let's go and take a look at our events conference project here. So as you can see, our labor cost for this particular project is $138,000, and we have incurred $80,000 worth of cost so far. Same goes with billable, right? So your billable is always going to be higher than your labor cost because your cost is taking your internal cost for the resource, whereas billable labor is what the client is being charged for the labor expense. And then if let's say you wanted to click and find out more details, you can simply click on the URL here, and it is going to take you directly to the projects page. So we're going to open this up because we're going to be reflecting back and forth quite a bit. So let's go into the $, which gives you the financials, and let's go into the overview. So as I mentioned before, your Finance 360 report looks a lot like a financial overview page. Here we have broken down labor costs and expenses, billable labor and expenses, whereas we have consolidated that information right here for you. Now you may ask, where's the billed versus actual cost coming from for the 48,000? Let's go back into our financial and let's go into expenses, payments. Let's go into payments. So the report is picking up billed versus actual information here. So where is this information coming from? Your actual cost is $82.6 thousand, whereas you've billed 34.3K, right? So the difference between billed and actual is your 48,000 right there. And payments versus actual. So you've received a total of $80,000, which is 40 plus 40. Whereas your actual cost has been 82.6K. So that is the difference right there. And you can see both of this information right here. Okay, so that's our finance report. Let's go into project finances. So in project finances, you can see this is for consumption purposes only. And here you can see the information being broken down into 4 different sections. So you've got total billings per month, whether it's time logs and flat fee activities. You've got billable versus non-billable hours per month. And then you've got cost analysis and you've got revenue analysis. Notice on the very top here, we've given you a bunch of filtering options, right? So you can review the data by portfolio, by project, by customer, and you can also select a date range. So in this case, you've got whether it is this year, next year, last year, or you can pick custom date range here. So let's select our project, event conferences, because that's the one that we're using for the purpose of this demo. So here, as you can see, we have total billings. So if you just hover over it, it will tell you we have billed 17,640 in the month of April, 16,195 in May, and so on and so forth. Here you can see billable versus non-billable hours. And as a project manager, you have a very high level overview of defining or determining how many hours are logged as billable versus non-billable. So yellow is your non-billable and blue is your billable. Now, let's say your project is primarily driven by billable services, right? And you come here, and for that particular project, you see that your non-billable hours are quite high as compared to billable. So this is where, as a project manager, you can go in and investigate why that's the case, right? So this is a very high level overview on that front. If you hover over, it will tell you how many hours were logged as billable versus how many hours were logged as non-billable expenses. Now, cost analysis, this is more on the resource-based, right? So as you can see, for our project event conferences, we've got Angela Happy, Brad Handsome, Charlize Lovely, and so on, who have logged 10 hours. They've logged some non-billable hours, but they've also logged billable hours. In this column where it says cost, it determines how many, what it is costing the company, your company, to utilize these resources for this particular project. And if, let's say, they're billable hours, what is the billing rate? So what is it that you're charging your client for the billable service of Angela Happy, Charlize Lovely, Brad Hanson? And here you can see the total billings. So this 86,476 is your total labor cost. And you can see that information in your activity center here. So let's go here. We've got 86,476 in your billable labor. So you can tie this information back to your financial module. And then we've got revenue analysis. So here we've got a target revenue of 143,000. We have actually billed, our billable was 87,000, which is like 86 plus your project level expenses. And here that kind of indicates, so 86,476 plus 1820 gives you 87,596. Actual billable, which is equal to the actual billable selected period, as well as what's remaining in the budget. So your total target was 143. Your remaining to date to complete this project is, which gives you 39% of remaining budget. Again, this information is coming directly from your financial module, and I will show you shortly. So if you go back here, we've got let's go here. So our target is 143,858, which is going to come from your total target revenue right here. And then your total billable is $187,000, and we've got this right here. So you've got labor plus your expenses. You've got 87,596. And then the remaining is this minus that gives you $56,000. Now let's take a look at billing overview. So in our billing overview, again, it kind of gives you a very high level of where your project is sitting at, right? So when we do that, it will show you that we have actually expected, our target revenue was $143,000. Our actual billing was 87K. This is the current month's billing. And again, this is coming from labor plus any project level expenses and what's remaining to date. However, notice at EAC, which means estimate at completion billable, is higher than our target revenue. This could be due to various factors. Maybe our project level expenses were higher than what we had actually initially anticipated, or our labor costs. Our labor billable has gone up. Numerous factors. So now it's saying that you had targeted 143,000 as your target revenue, but your actual billable is going to be 149, which is a variance of 5,445. So this may not be something that you can bill the client, right? I mean, it depends. So it gives you that information that, hey, this is the target. This is what's actually going to happen by the time the project ends. Here's the variance. So you can take preventative measures as to, why it's higher. Should it be within the target revenue? what actions you need to take to ensure you as a project manager is not at a loss for your particular project. And these are just the percentages based on these calculations. So you've got progress, how much it's completed, percentage of hours, and what is the actual billing at 61% here. Now let's take a look at revenue recognition reports. So the revenue recognition report serves as a comprehensive tool for you as a project manager and any executive or relevant stakeholders that gives you insights on project's revenue progression, right? So here, as an example, we have given you 3 different types of reports. So you've got actual revenue as they have incurred. We've given you percentage of completion, as well as fixed price per period, right? So you have 3 different reports. Now, as a project manager or as an organization, you have the choice of picking and choosing which one what's your revenue structure and pick the report accordingly. Or if, let's say, you have different revenue recognition structures, you can pick and choose one or multiple, depending on your needs. So again, we have selected our events conference project here, and you can see that yellow is defined as your deferred revenue. Your blues are all the revenue that you have recognized, which means the expenses, like the billable expenses and labor you have recognized. And this is your total. So as an example, 17,640 is your total revenue that you had received, of which 813 was deferred, 4.4 was realized. And it incrementally goes up as you receive the revenue and incur expenses. Percentage of completion. So this is basically recognizing the revenue based on the percentage of your project that's complete. So as an example, at the start, you have 28,500 in February, you go up and it's 124,000, which is at 62%. So depending on your project's progress, this bar will be updated accordingly. Now, just as a informational purposes here, typically when we release this report, you will only see the bar chart. If you want to see percentages, that will have to be requested. This is not, the percentage line item is not out of box, but that can be configured based on some technical requirements. And then lastly, we've got the fixed price per period, and it is pretty self-explanatory here when it says fixed price per period. You can see you're going to be receiving 12,500 in even payments throughout the project life. And the blue bars indicate the accumulated revenue received by a certain specific period. And your purple here is the deferred revenue. So you start with the maximum and you are recognizing. So this deferred revenue line is kind of going down and your accumulated revenue recognition is going up. So by the end of this project, your deferred revenue line and your accumulated revenue recognition is going to be even at that point. Let's go to estimated profitability. And here, the purpose of this report is to reflect the total expected profit in dollars and in percentages, and if there's any issues. So as an example, again, here you have filters based on years, like fiscal years and quarters. You can filter the data by portfolio, project status, billing type, and so on. And the 2 options we have given you is expected profit in dollars as well as weighted average, again, because these are industry standards. So let's select our project, which is event conference, and notice how the data changes. So the monthly expected profit here, you will only see the expected profit information at the end of the project's life. So this is going to be, because our events project is finishing or is expected to finish in May 2024, the expected profit is going to reflect on that last period of the project. So here, again, as you can see, the project is completed in the is expected to complete in fiscal year 2024, what portfolio it belongs to, the planned date, estimated at completion billable, similarly to what we talked about in our previous reports, which is 149,000. Our planned expenses, so this is just project level expenses. The planned expenses in this case does not include labor. This is all inclusive. Our target profit is 22,000, and this is coming from your project's financial overview in targets section. So towards the very end, when you enable the profit toggle here, you can identify that this is your target revenue, this is your target budget. What is the amount or percentage of profit you expect, you want to set as a target, right? So in the amount, we have set 22,395.56, which is what you can see here as well. And similar to the percentage, the 15% is coming from here. If you select instead of amount, you select percentage, and this gives you the percentage 15 right here. So this is all determined and predefined when the project is planned for in the beginning. So we know where this true information is coming from. Estimated completion cost is $140,000, which is again coming from your overview section here. And this is what the cost is going to be when the project is completed, $140,000. And then next, we have expected profit, which is based on the actual information and comparing it to the target. According to the system, what is our expected profit towards the end of the project, right? So we had expected to, or we had set a target of $22,000 and a 15% target profit. However, based on the project progress and various factors, the system recognizes that, okay, after all the costs and revenue is considered, you're actually going to only have 6.19% profit, which gives you a $9,245. It is good. It's green because your project is still profitable. If it was not profitable, if let's say, you were losing money, this would be indicated in red. Again, where is this information coming from? It is going to be in the financial section, targets, and you scroll down. Here you go. So you've got 6.19% expected profit given this information. And if we change it to dollars, you'll see 92.45.90. Now, you'll also see this variance of 13,000, and this here means that you had expected $22,000 in target profit, but you're actually going to get 9,200. So based on what was your target versus the reality, the variance is 13,000, which means you're making, the profit is going to be 13,000 less than what you had initially anticipated. All right, let's go to the next one, which is expense burn down and labor burn down. So they both operate, or they both look exactly the same. So in this case, let's take a look at our project here, events conference. And as you can see, we had 1,820 that we had initially budgeted. It was 100% at the beginning, and then come May, June, July, August until October, we slowly utilized all of 1,822 expense, and now we are at 0, which means we have fully realized, and there's no more project level expenses budget that we have for the remainder of the year. And if you scroll down, you can see the details, what was actual versus what is planned at a very high level. Similarly, if you go into labor burn down, and this is a very good example of things going over budget, right? So as an example here, let's click on our demo project again. So we had, the targeted budget of, in this case, it says project budget of $200,000, let's say. So we started there, and the yellow is indicative of actual labor expenses being incurred. So what it's saying, by the end of the project, this is obviously, the remaining labor, but towards the end of the project in May of 2024, we are expecting a negative 1%, which means the system is recognizing that there's a high likelihood of your project going over budget in labor costs or in labor costs by 1%. So this is a very good indication for a project manager to review this information and say, well, if that's what's happening, what can I do now to mitigate those risks, right? So whether it's rebalancing, the resource efforts, whatever that might be, you can investigate and take necessary actions to make sure your labor is on target. And same goes with your project level expenses. So these are our comprehensive project finances reports. Are there any questions? Okay. All right. So if there are no questions, I'm going to quickly do a quick overview on some of the general questions that were asked just for our new attendees here. So these new suite of business intelligence reports are primarily for Birdview enterprise accounts. But if let's say you have a Birdview Teams account, these reports can be made available as well, provided you have access to business intelligence reports and the financial module. How we're rolling out these reports is going to be in small groups. So the very first one, we're going to roll out the business intelligence report to our enterprise accounts. Once that's done, we're going to look at our Birdview Teams accounts and slowly roll those out. Of course, you can send in your request to our success email if let's say you want a like a demo, or you want to access some of these reports for your project management needs. We will definitely cater to those requests as well. And if let's say you are on Easy Projects legacy accounts, and you want these reports, you will be required to upgrade to Birdview Teams or Enterprise, in order to access this, because we are rolling out of Easy Projects and bringing all of our Easy Projects accounts onto Birdview. So we have one, we have one account to manage, and it's easy access for all of the users. So all of these reports can be available based on request to all of our existing clients, as well as the process of deployment. Again, we will be rolling it out. We'll be sending out an email to all of our existing clients. And if let's say you're in Teams or not in the group, you can definitely send in a request, and we will cater to that request as well. A couple of things to consider are the variable data points and the customizations required for this report. So as an example, there might be a few custom fields that your projects have, and you want those data points showing up in these reports, be it project finances or 360 or even expenses. And we can definitely customize that. And so for those customizations, the report will be first accessible to the admins, and then once the report has been validated, we can publish it to the wider audience. All right. Again, so for customization, you would have to be on a private cloud, and if let's say you are on the shared server, these reports will be as is. So again, customization will require you to switch from a shared server or multi-tenanted server into a private cloud. All right, so thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining our session today. I hope you found it very helpful. And just a quick overview here. November 21st, we are going to review our risk assessment report. And on November 28th, we will review time logs and resources reports, and that will be it for our business intelligence. On December 6th, we have a monthly webinar, and it is going to be the last webinar of the year, where we will go over efficiency and focus, and we will explore our newest upcoming project enhancement called multiple spaces, and how that can help you deliver your projects successfully. So again, any questions or concerns or any feedback or topics that you want us to cover, please feel free to send it to Birdview PSA, success@birdviewpsa.com, and we will be happy to answer your questions and concerns, and we'll take it from there. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I hope you all have a great day and a great week ahead, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.